Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings, travelers, and welcome back to the latest episode of Unshackled Fury. We've got a packed show for you this week, as we'll be discussing some of the news coming from the latest Q&A with the one and only Ian Hostakostas, changes to World PvP, the lead up to the new Antorus raid, and some BlizzCon announced goodies for patch 7.3.5, and of course, celebrating the 13th anniversary of our beloved game, and we'll be sharing some of our fondest memories. And you know I don't do this alone anymore, as beside me once again on this wild ride is the man who puts war into warrior, Navox. Say hello to the people, Nav.
What is up, guys? How you doing, man?
It's just another day in paradise, slaying demons and getting more artifact power than I know what to do with.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I'm still collecting that stuff. It never ends. It just never ends.
And it never will.
It never will.
At least until next year.
We could cut off at 75, but it's just gonna keep vomiting on us, this artifact power.
Once I get that artifact power token that's, 50 billion, I think I might call it quits.
Okay.
All right, so we do have a whole bunch that we want to cover this week. But first and foremost, there's been an issue that's been on my mind since BlizzCon that I simply cannot shake. So before we get to anything else, it is time to rage. So let's go. Let's rage. Okay, so Battle for Azeroth. We saw the cinematic. I think I've watched it 50 times. How many times have you watched it?
About the same. About the same. Yeah.
Okay, so big epic story happening, big battle going on, main characters there to be seen. One in particular.
Right.
Anduin Wrynn.
Okay.
Anduin Wrynn.
Yes.
Been around since the beginning, since World of Warcraft was a thing, and he was a little boy in a throne room being protected by Bolvar. I think that all started in vanilla, right?
Okay.
Okay. So through the game, we've seen him progress, and he's gotten older, and he's been training with people, and he's been doing stuff. And what's he been training as? He's been training as a priest.
A priest, yes.
He's been becoming one with the light. He's been training with Velen. He's been with Jaina. He's been with Bane. He got a special little sparkle mace that helped him for a while till he gave it away. So he was heading along the path of the priest. But, in Battle for Azeroth, what do we see? He is wearing glorious plate, and he is wielding the sword of his father, Charlemagne.
Yes.
Big, giant sword, big warrior sword. He can go fury, he can go arms. He is that was Varian's legacy for us warriors.
If he knows how to split the swords, yes. But he did manage to put them back together again.
There you go.
So he knows how to do that.
So he has mastery of this weapon to some degree.
Yes. So
when I walked away from that, I go, yes! He has finally taken his next step, and he is now a paladin. But then, what do I hear? I hear people asking Alex Afrasiabi like he knows anything. Well, maybe he does. But he tells these people, oh no, he's still a priest. You have got to be kidding me. Oh, he's a hero. He's
a hero.
He can do special things. No. You are a priest. You put on plate. You wield a giant sword. Your ass is a paladin at that point. I don't care. You cannot look at Anduin and look at who's the chick in Teldrassil?
Oh wow, Tyrande, yeah.
You can't look at Anduin and Tyrande and tell me they're the same class. There is no way. No way. And here, listen, beyond my general level of rage on this issue, I have facts. Nav. I'm bringing facts to the table. All right? So here we go. Walk with me down this crazy little tree that I have made here on a blackboard that you can't see. So you start with Anduin, who was a priest. Now, the original paladins were priests. Did you know that?
I did not know that, no.
Okay, this is very important now.
Okay.
In the Second War, the clerics of Northshire were the first priests to become paladins because the Archbishop Alonsus Fowl, who is now undead, by the way, he saw that these clerics were ill-suited for war because they were, throwing light from a distance, but, they weren't surviving very long. So he created, with Uther, I believe, the Knights of the Silver Hand, the paladins, priests to paladins. And why? Because they could fight, because they had plate, they had weapons, and they were in the fray, and they were using the light, and they were using badassery with swords. Now, I don't know about you, but in that Battle for Azeroth cinematic, I saw Anduin throw down on some poor troll with Charlemagne. Did I not see that, or did I see that?
You did see it, even though it was still, again, haphazard. He wasn't as skillful with it as, a warrior would be, full-blown, purebred warrior, but he did throw down, yes.
Okay, so we see him smash him, and then he uses the light. Okay, now I had said at one point that this was like a giant res spell. I don't think this was a res spell.
What?
I think this was more of him doing some kind of gigantic
that was a mass
bubble.
res.
You know what? As I was looking into this, that's what I did. Was I went in and I looked into everybody's spells. I don't know if this was actually a res spell. I think this was more of just a giant holy light kind of spell where he was just, healing people that were really, really fucked up. I don't think they were dead. I think he uses some kind of gigantic bubble because, what's a pally without a bubble? And that's what he did. And so he's kind of blending the priest light and the warrior plate, and he's bringing them together. And in my eyes, he's a paladin. And I don't care what a Broziabi says. Nice try, buddy. Now, I will also say is that it's possible, given now Anduin's age, maybe this is like college for him. Maybe he's always been a priest, and now he's at the age where he wants to experiment a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, experiment.
Maybe right. I feel like being a paladin today. Maybe that's something I'm about. I'm going to step a toe in this and see what happens. Maybe that's just the age that he is at, and so he is on the cusp of being a paladin, and he wants to check out his paladin tendencies. I could even give him that. But the moment you pick up plate and a sword as a priest, you become a paladin in my eyes. And even though he threw down the sword and threw up the big holy spell, he still picked that sword back up. So I don't want to hear anything from anybody on these forums that are like, oh, Broziabi said that's what it was. I don't care. He's like a parent who got caught, and his only excuse was because I'm the parent and because I said so. That's what happened. That's what happened right there. You hear it here first, folks. Anduin, this isn't really first. I'm sure a whole lot of people say that. Anduin Rin is a paladin. Anduin Paladin.
Manduin.
Anduin Paladin. See how they rhyme? The signs are there. I'm telling you. It's a conspiracy.
Well, his buddy Bane's a paladin also, right? I mean...
At Horde side. I don't know anything about them.
Okay, all right. That's fine.
All right. I've raised enough about this. I've got this off my chest. Am I completely off base here, or you see where I'm coming from, right?
I see where you're coming from. I think everybody's entitled to their opinion on this. Yeah. And honestly, God, we're no telling till down the road. There's no telling. So. Yeah.
So. All
right.
Enough of my raging nonsense. I'm sure that this is debate.
Bad.
I'm sure that this is debate we'll pick up another day. This isn't over. The next time I see him in Battle for Azeroth and he's like laying waste to something, I'm bringing this back up.
All right.
I'm starting a secret dossier of Anduin being a paladin. All right. Enough of that. We got tons of news to cover, so what do you say we jump into a little bit of that?
Yeah, let's jump into that.
So just a couple of days ago, here we are recording on Sunday the 19th. And so just a few days ago, we had a Q&A with the world-famous Ian Hazakostas. And it sounds like we got some pretty good information on this one. I didn't get a chance to watch it because for whatever reason, my employer thinks I should be working during the day. So Twitch is blocked.
Twitch is blocked.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to get some eyeballs on this thing?
I did. I always try to. I do manage to watch them because it's they put them at 2:00 p.m. my time. So yeah, I did get a chance to watch it, and it looks like they moved them into they had a temporary like studio set up. It wasn't that nice studio that they usually have them in.
They were like I saw a picture. It looked like a broom closet.
Yeah, it looked like they were in a broom closet.
Is that where they've dumped lore now? Did he like piss somebody off or something? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just redoing the office. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, reading some of the notes on this thing, one of the big things that continues to come out, and this was we had I think an interview at BlizzCon. And some more news that's trickled out about this. But coming Battle for Azeroth, there are no longer going to be traditional tier sets and tier bonuses. I mean,
right.
that's a pretty damn big deal.
That is a pretty big deal. But it also goes along the lines of the mindset that they've been expressing this entire time to us is we want you to be able to pick up a piece of gear and put it on and feel like it's an upgrade. And folks are married to their 2-piece and 4-piece sets. So you would raid and you're like, oh, wow, I've got this 915 item, but, this 930 item just dropped and I don't really want to use it because I don't want to break up my 4-piece set. So I think they're finally moving in a direction that is of that mindset of when something drops for you that's a nice upgrade, you can go ahead and use it and not have, any worries about breaking up something. Because, I used to like the 4-piece sets, but
yeah,
sometimes they would just get ridiculous in their thought process behind the 4-piece sets. It's like, oh, okay, so 2-piece, you're going to be able to kill 3 or 4 people at the same time, and when you get your 4-piece, your heroic throw will be 20 less rage or something. I'm making that up, kids, but you know what I'm talking about exactly. It's just not all that great.
One of the things I know I've seen with my own raid team, and this is probably true for many others, is that you will see people holding on to tier gear from previous raid tiers because they want to be able to keep this 2-piece with this other 2-piece, and you're having to do this really weird juggle between tier sets just so you can keep something that probably wasn't really intended. And I don't see any problem with getting rid of that. It just strikes me that they're willing to be, again, so bold in their decision-making that are there really any sacrificial cows left in this game? I mean, they're killing faction leaders, they're killing off or destroying major city hubs, and, I mean, tier sets, that's as old as the game.
Yeah, but this is the direction that they wanted to do back in... They've been talking about this since Warlords, though. I mean, they wanted people to pick up, I'll keep reiterating, people want to pick up their gear and use it. But if you're a hoarder like me, I hold on to all this old stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get rid of anything. My bank is full of stuff. And just to let you guys know, just on the off chance that you end up with some sort of time walking dungeon, and you're like, great, I can go back and use this old gear in the time walking and do so much better. You won't. The current gear that you're in is just so much better than the old stuff. It just is.
Well, one of the things that Ian was talking about in the Q&A was specific to the armor sets that are coming is that the aesthetic of these sets is going to be more about the zone than it is about the class. What do you think about that kind of a change?
I'm all for it because it's like it's going to offer more variety for those people like me that also transmog a lot of their gear. I transmog my gear, almost every other hour. Like if there's a break, I am one of the worst people in a raid because... Do
you have one of the transmog mounts?
I bought one this expansion because gold is so easy to come by. I went and bought an Expedition Yak, and I thought, okay, so I'm at 400k gold because I don't spend gold on anything, and I went to go buy the Yak, and now that you you have followers that collect gold. You're sending your mission tables out to get gold. Gold's just hitting everybody from every war. I actually went out there and bought it. I transmog over and over and over again. And some of these sets that are coming out have been sets that I feel like we've needed for a long time. There's the White Alliance armor set. I don't know if that was
that one they teased with the Warfront.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a placeholder where they're going to actually dress it up in Alliance silver and blue, or if it is actually going to stay white. But I like the design that they're doing with it because it is more of an Alliance feel, and I've always wanted the sets that I like a lot of high detail in the sets. And
that's one of the things that they talked about is that the new sets that they're working on are going to have whatever this higher fidelity to them, where now they're going to be, because you can see over the course of the expansions how much more detailed they've become, but it looks like we're going to get, again, just another step up in the level of badassery.
You have to upgrade your video cards to see all the new sets.
Go out there and get that Titan video card, because otherwise your belt just is going to look like shit.
The World of Warcraft Titan 1080, and it'll be like, it'll have Agrimar or something on there.
Your bracers never looked so good. I've been thinking about this with them going less class, more zone related. And I guess the thing in all of this that I've been thinking about is typically with our other plated brethren is with the Death Knights and the Paladins, particularly with the Death Knights. I feel that a lot of the designs, just from a warrior point of view, there have been some really good designs that have gone to the other plate wearers that I'm like, man, I really wish that we had something like that. And then maybe we get like a recolor as the offset in some raid or something like that. So for me, I'm actually pretty happy to not have to be locked in necessarily to a class-specific set, and instead we can get something that's, more attention is being placed on this particular zone. And okay, what kind of gear would we get out of this? Because if you think about it, we're lifting gear off the corpses of our dead foes, right?
Correct.
So if we're pulling stuff off of them, well, it ought to look like wherever the hell they're from. And I think it's a good change. And looping that in with whatever this Azerite armor system, this Heart of Azeroth system that they're going to be implementing, seems like it's going to be taking the place of all of that stuff anyway, with set bonuses, because now you'll be able to customize, and I'm not really sure, and it doesn't sound like they're quite nailed down on how it's going to work, but if you get, this much Azerite power, you're going to be able to, tweak this helm to give you more of this, or these shoulders to do more of that. And so it'll be a little more custom tuning, which, I don't know, other than reforging, which I think people thought was a pain in the ass, I think people like being able to have control over what they get.
Yeah, and also what I think we're seeing here, though, is I don't know if you played, and I'm going to jump games here. I don't know if you've had a chance to play Destiny 2, but in Destiny 2, you'll get your gear, and you can get a certain look to that gear. And when you loot the gear, if you loot a higher item level, but you don't like the way it looks, you can take that gear and infuse it into the lower level gear, bringing that gear up. And I think that would be a really nice way to go, because one, when you loot something, you're collecting the appearance. And that's kind of like what I'm getting at is that's kind of the loot system I want to go to. I want to see more random drops of loot. Yeah. But I also want to be able to, something I've always wanted to do in game is target models that have the gear look that I want. During Burning Crusade, you would go through Black Temple. You go to Black Temple. So during Black Temple, you would go through and you would see the orcs carrying the big tower shields, the bulwarks, right? But the only way to get that is to kill Illidan. Why can't those shields drop off the guys that are carrying them? So I would like to see if we can target certain NPCs to go for the look that we're trying to get. Because, some of these NPCs are carrying around some really neat weapons, and they're carrying around they have some pretty nice armor design to them.
Or they're reusing old tier sets. I've noticed that they've done that a couple of times too.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, wasn't that the PvP set from early part of Burning Crusade? I love that set. So with drops and those kinds of things in mind, switching gears a little bit, it sounds like they don't have any plans for legendaries yet, which I thought was a little odd.
But Ian did say that we haven't seen the end of the orange stuff. There will be some things, but I think they're going to go back to the old school of make it actually a legendary item, not just, hey, and you get a legendary and you get a legendary and you get a legendary. It make them truly legendary, like, you know, how, say, Thunder Fury was. Have it truly something that, you know, stands out.
Well, now, you've been around since vanilla.
Yes.
I've been around since BC. So for most of our collective raiding experience, that's kind of how it's been, right? Is there's been one truly legendary item that, you know, was forged or made or dropped. No, none of them dropped, really. They were all made.
They were all
some
made.
Variety. I don't feel like it's a popular opinion among the masses anymore, but I really liked that you had to work together as a team.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
To accomplish that goal, because, like, Valnir was, you know, I was never going to use something like that. It's a healer thing. I think it was a mace, right? I didn't even get the Shadowmourne in ICC. I had a Death Knight that was ranked above me on my team, but we helped him get it.
Right.
His DPS was freaking awesome. And when we killed the Lich King on Heroic 25, that was awesome. So I don't really have a problem with them bringing that back. And I'm sure that I will not be first in line to get whatever that is if it's a warrior-related weapon on my raid team. But what do you think of them bringing something like that back? That old system.
I was going to say the same thing. It's a way for a guild to work together and accomplish a goal for something that will help in the long run. And if you know, if it's the same person who's showing up every night and you can count on them being there, it helps out in the long run. And then I personally like that. I liked having to do those, hey guys, we're going to go farm these things in Molten Core, and then we're going to go out and kill this thing. We're not going to do a regular raid tonight. We're going to go make sure that we get this stuff for, you know, the person who's putting Thunder Fury together, or back in Cataclysm when we'd have to put together the mage staff, you know, for the mages and things like that. You know, I actually do like working together, because I was used to that back in EverQuest. We would camp stuff for the cleric's water sprinkler. That was a epic weapon back in the day. There was a dragon that would spawn. Everybody had everybody's phone number back in the day, or pagers, and you would get a page or you'd get a phone call, and you're like, hey, I got to go. I'm not feeling good. And you'd go home and you'd go kill the dragon at, you know, 1:30 in the afternoon.
I got the dragon page. It's time to go.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm all for that, because Warcraft has always been a play together game. It's an MMORPG, so, you know, if you're in it just for the solo, you know, capacity of the game, that's great. But the game opens up so much more when you're playing with friends, and I don't know, it's about that community, it's about the friendship, it's about the bonds you make in games. So that kind of item, when it's built by a group of people, it's special. It's nice. And then you have stories. You have those wonderful stories later on. You're like, hey, remember when we did this? Remember when we did that? You know, that's where that comes from. So
now it's remember when I got that 16th legendary drop that I didn't need that sits in my bag? I mean, that's what I hear. I only have 2 or 3, and, you know, I don't do enough to get more. But it's become more of a nuisance than a reward, which it's a legendary. That's terrible.
And you don't want to change out your set already, because you're like, oh, I can only carry 2 of these things.
I have to wear that warrior hat forever.
I still need that hat, but yeah.
So one of the other things that they've talked about changing, and this has been true for a while now, is that they've become better in the age of the data miner with hiding things, in terms of,
right,
there's been some secret mounts out there, and now they're talking about one of the trinkets that's going to be in the next raid in Antorus, which is Amonthul's Vision, which Amonthul, if you don't know, was part of the Pantheon. But there is a nexus where if you get enough of these things in your raid, there's a whole bunch of effects and different things that happen. But the point being is that nobody knows where in raid this comes from. And I like that they're taking these risks and these challenges of hiding things in there, or not necessarily being explicit about how stuff is done. Now, do you think that Do you think that that's healthy for the game, or do you think that that's bad that you don't really know where to get the stuff you're going to need to raid?
I think they've maintained a stance of, while legendaries they're really, really awesome. They're awesome items to have. They've never been necessary to complete a raid tier. They've never been something where we have to have this or we can't down the last boss. It's never been that way. It's a quality of life item. It makes your raid a little bit better, but I'm okay with them hiding stuff because I actually do like little Easter eggs in games. I like finding things. I like, hey, nobody's been down that side. Nobody's been down there. Nobody's looked underneath that rock. What if we go down there and check it out, follow the story, follow the breadcrumbs? They have a Discord channel set up specifically for that. That's how they found that mana worm. Now, I'm happy as hell that they found that mana worm. Do I want one? No. I don't really care about that mount. It's ugly. It's I don't
Did you do any of the ones that they found?
No, I have not done a single one. No.
I tried doing the black unicorn one, and I'm stuck on the very last stage where you have to go through the endless maze because I'm too stupid to figure it out. So at some point, I'm gonna have to get like some graph paper and I don't know, take a tranquilizer or something so I can relax. But I have not been able to finish that one yet. But yeah, that stuff is pretty cool. If you want to go back, anybody that's listening, if you haven't watched it. Go back in the stream of the Q&A is up. It's on Twitch, I believe.
Right.
You can also read the note by note rundown on just about every website there is. But those are some of the things we thought were pretty good. But you in particular, I know you had a bone to pick earlier in the week, which was there were a whole bunch of world PvP changes being discussed. Now I'm admittedly not a PvP guy. I will never be one unless by accident. So. Why don't you walk us through what exactly is going on here and what's happening?
Okay, so I know everybody's seen this. Who's listening to us have already seen this. But basically they made some changes. And what they've changed was that non-tank specializations will now take 40% less damage from enemy players when you're engaged in world PvP. Now, the way it stands right now, it's the world PvP areas. Whenever they put some sort of daily quest out there for you to go do, it means you can throw on all your best gear, all your hardest hitting items. Your artifact is not, nerfed in any way, shape, or form. And you just go out there and you complete your quest. And if you happen to stumble across somebody who's flagged, you can attack them. Well, apparently, I guess healers aren't getting much of a chance. Because I guess they're getting
Nor
global.
Should they. Oh, wait.
I mean, you are opting to go to a PvP area. But what they did was they reduced the effectiveness of there's a number of trinkets and legendary items. I'm not going to go down a list of them. You can go out there and find them. They're out there.
But it was a huge hack at it, right? It wasn't like 3%. It was like 50 or 75% or something.
Exactly. It was Blizzard's intent to reduce the amount of an initial burst so that it gives players a chance to retaliate to the attack, or it keeps people from being global, because rogues will pop everything, use their Drought of Souls in the past and then, one-shot people. Tanks, not so much. Like I didn't really have to deal with that. But tanks you thought about attacking a tank in World PvP. Now, not so much, because now you're taking 40% less damage. So if I'm out there questing, in the past when I'm out there questing, I'm cool. I'm out there questing. I'm doing my stuff. I'm doing my bareback brawl. I'm doing all that kind of stuff.
You're doing your what?
Yeah, go do the bareback brawl. That's a fun one.
The bareback brawl?
The bareback brawl.
Is that like a Moonguard thing?
Yeah. You go out to Stormheim. It's out there at the north. It's at the northern middle PvP area. You go out there. You attack the bareback brawl, where you go out and you attack a goat. To get on the ram,
you bareback a goat?
Exactly. I know.
What kind of hillbilly thing is this?
You get this animal down to green. You hop on the back of it, and then you have another ability where you can, you get an extra action button and you can knock people off cliffs, or you get a wolf and you can stand your ground, or
do you at least take the goat out to dinner first or something?
They even have a dragon. They
Oh, wow.
they even have a dragon you can ride, and you fly out there, and you can just do aerial assaults on people while they're out there.
Nice.
I've never seen it. It was very crowded to begin with. I have not seen it nearly as crowded since. So I don't know. Maybe on other servers there's a problem of it being overcrowded. What I'm getting at is, Tank's got I really feel like Tank's got the short end of the stick on this one, because we at this point, if a DPS attacks me, I can still kill the DPS. I'm still a threat to the DPS.
Yeah.
But in the past, if 2 or 3 DPS attack me, I'd wipe the floor with all 3 of them. And now not so much. Plus, at this point, the shift has been to the healers, because now the healers are just they're going to be just godly, because they can out heal any damage you can give them, basically. So if you're going to try to kill a healer, bring a DPS with you, because you're not going to be able to do that, But other than that, that's what they've done. I kind of wish they didn't do the, hey, everybody takes 40% less damage. You could have done a buff. You could have been like, okay, look, you're getting attacked. Here's a buff on you for 40%. It's going to last 30 seconds. You can either hightail it out of the area because you chose to be in a world PvP area, or, this is what your life's going to be for the next 30 seconds. You're engaged at that point. But yeah, that's what happened with this debuff, and we'll see what happens with Battle for Azeroth and what other PvP changes are coming. I just don't like the constant. I don't like the constant changes. PvP is still fun, but PvP was more fun when all of our stuff was able. You do world PvP because you're using all of your gear to have fun in PvP. That's. But I understand. I understand that there are some griefers out there. I understand there's some trolls out there. I understand, your PvP quests get done faster when you're attacking people rather than doing the objectives. So when you're doing objectives, it takes a lot longer than if you're just actually out there actively engaged in PvP. But yeah, that's all that happened with that. So
all right. Well, I'm gonna have you keep tabs on that. You'll have to fill people in on the effectiveness of these changes.
Yeah.
Lord knows I won't know. All right, so that's some of the changes, some of the upcoming changes, some of the things we've been seeing and reading and hearing about lately. So let's switch focus just a touch and head over to what's coming up around the bend in terms of our raid. We've just been in Tomb of Sargeras now for several months, gone through there, trashed some folks. And now we've got Antorus, the Burning Throne, I think, coming up just over the horizon. Now, this past week, just as kind of a little prelude to this, we got a brief, like a 2 or 3 part quest where you go meet Magni Bronzebeard,
right?
Who's still a giant crystal, and he's talking to the world soul of Argus.
Yep.
And we get to see a cool cutscene this week of Agramar. And Agramar, if you don't know, so we're gonna give a brief history lesson here.
Yes.
Agramar was part of what was called the Pantheon. Now, the Pantheon, kind of like the big Greek gods of the Warcraft universe. So going back to the creation of the universe in Warcraft, there was the light and the dark, right? Okay. Now the light essentially, I guess, sides somewhat with the Pantheon, who was made up originally of Aman'Thul, the High Father, Eonar, the Lifebinder, Norgannon, keeper of celestial magics and lore, Golganeth, Lord of the Skies and Roaring Oceans, Khaz'goroth, shaper and forger of worlds, and Sargeras, who was the defender. So Sargeras was actually part of the Pantheon. Sargeras took on like a right-hand man. That was Agramar. And together they were off slaying demons and going after the Legion and this and that, until Sargeras realized that he could never defeat all of evil, decided he was going to destroy the universe to keep it from the void, and that's how he went dark. And eventually Sargeras killed all of the Pantheon. They're all dead. Pieces of their essence or something flew out in the universe, and some of them went to Azeroth, and it's a long, complicated story that we're not necessarily going to get into. But this week, what we saw was a cutscene where Agramar, good guy killed, now rezzed as a bad guy by Sargeras, trying to get to Eonar's spirit, one of the other fallen Pantheon members. And it sounds like they're trying to create a new evil Pantheon. So it's kind of like where you had the Legion of Doom for the Justice League. So this is like the Legion of Doom for the Burning Crusade, the Legion. There you go. And that somehow, I guess, is leading us into Antorus, which will have Agrimar, which will have something to do with Eonar. We don't actually fight Sargeras. We instead fight some other folks. So I know you took a look at this. It looks like we're getting 11 bosses,
yes,
which is pretty typical large-scale end-of-expansion type stuff.
Yes.
I haven't really seen a lot of it. I feel like, for whatever reason, past raids, I've seen a lot of either a patch trailer or videos or something, but I haven't really seen that much. So what do you know? What have you seen for the Antorus raid that's coming up, well, in like 8 days?
What I've seen is mostly I've gone out to YouTube and I've typed in a lot of these the bosses, the names of the bosses, and I pulled up. There's a couple Fat Boss videos. There's some other people that are doing some other. They were able to beta test. The raid is very beautiful. There's lots of green, lots of fell, but there's also lots of, especially with the Eonar, the Lifebinder fight. You're not fighting Eonar. You're empowering her to attack the Praxis, which is like the Imperial Star Destroyer ship, and that's a very beautiful looking instance or boss fight. I don't think anybody's going to be displeased with this raid at all. It's going to be a large instance, guys.
I mean, this is like ICC level boss numbers.
You know what? That's a good point. It's like, I would say, yes, we're getting back to Ulduar and ICC. If you had fun in Ulduar, I think that's what I'm kind of getting at this. It's like it's a storyline driven set of bosses where you're going from. I know most fights are like that, but in Ulduar, there was a story. It was a story-driven fight from one boss to the next. Now I just feel like we're going in there and like, oh, there's a boss over there. We need to kill this boss. And, oh, there's a boss over here. We need to kill this boss. I didn't care about any of the bosses right now, like what we're doing in Tomb of Sargeras. I don't really, like, I know we go in there.
You even killed Jaden?
Well, okay, that was a fun fight, but I didn't really, at the time, I recently got into all this lore stuff. So at the time going in there, I didn't really care. I'm just like, there's something that's going to drop loot for me.
Welcome into the lore pool, my friend.
We're going to figure out this puzzle, kill this boss, get some loot. Now it's like, oh, where did this guy come from? It's like, so yeah, we're getting 11 bosses. And like, we are not a strat podcast, guys. Just if you want strats, go look at YouTube, all that kind of stuff, but for a quick breakdown on all these things, we're getting something called, like, the first boss you're going to encounter is something called the Garothi World Breaker. It's the large Void Walker looking guy. So, we need a 20-man, 15 person raid. Varian took out one by himself from, from the intro or from the cutscene. Was that
from the Broken Shore cutscene video where he was wielding Charlemagne?
That's right, and he went into the head of one of these things and split its skull, and saved the retreating alliance.
Did it look like a priest weapon when he used it?
Actually, yeah, he put it back together again when he split the skull. It wasn't in two.
Uh-huh.
It was one at the time.
Aha. Carry on.
Okay. So, well, now you got me thinking, because he sacrificed himself, and that would be a very light thing to do, where he would be. But again, now we're going to go down a path of, why isn't he up there in Skyhold being a warrior who sacrificed himself? Why isn't he? Okay,
that's a discussion for another day.
That's a discussion for another. Okay, see, now you got me. All right, so
all the heroes. That's what we should have had. But anyway,
round 2 of your bosses, you're going to have the Fellhounds of Sargeras, which is a standard percentage based fights. Fight abilities change at 33, 66, 100. We've seen these types of fights before. The next one is the Antorin High Command. 3 bosses for one fight. It's DPS, watch your feet type of fight. There's the fourth one's Portal Keeper Hazabel. I believe it's maybe I'm butchering that name. It doesn't matter, but it's a mini boss fight. One group takes Hazabel, and the other groups are going to different fights on different platforms, killing mini bosses. That one looks like a fun fight for DPS.
That looks like fun.
Yeah, anytime you like, I know from experience being a tank that when you're like, all right, look, you've got to tank this boss this entire time. About the third or fourth time you're watching YouTube videos tanking the boss, and it's not fun. This one looks like a lot of fun for the DPS because you guys are going to different platforms.
Yeah, now that I don't raid lead, I really look forward to different stuff like that.
Yes, yeah, I'm swapping over to a DPS role. I'm not going to be tanking this tier, so that's going to be very exciting. So yeah, so it'll be.
I've had enough of this shit looking at bosses' nutsacks all day.
Exactly. 5, the ENR the Life Binder fight. Like I said, we're empowering her to attack the Paraxis, which is a big, Star Destroyer type thing, and I believe she'll kill it once we power it all up. Then we've got number 6, Eminar the Soul Hunter. Now this boss looks cool because it's a new model boss, and he's got a big ass sword. The boss moves to different platforms, and each platform has an assortment of obstacles to reach him during transitions.
So it's like Ninja Warrior?
It's like Ninja Warrior and herding cats at the same time. So if you've got more than 15 people in a raid, good luck to you guys because it's,
my team's screwed.
We've got Kingaroth, which is just a huge stationary target with ads. We usually get a big, huge stationary boss fight in all our raid tiers. Then we've got Varamatharas, which he is one of the main Dreadlords, right?
Previous denizen of Undercity.
Now, okay, that's what I was going to say. So, and he's not Jaina, by the way, guys. I went out there to look at this thing, and people are like, I think this person is Jaina. I'm like, you guys are out of your fucking minds. What are you talking about here? No, it's not Jaina. So there's that. The next one is the Coven of Shavara. Now, we see these for scantily clad Shavara in the cutscene with Magni.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, so the 4 that you see there with Agrimar walking around, that's the Coven. So we're getting, the 6-armed females with thong bikinis, and that's what we're fighting there. So
is it a plate kini or is it just a regular kini?
I don't think it's a plate kini. I think it's a regular kini because there's nothing plate about it.
They seriously cannot keep doing these models for much longer. I mean, honest to God, I remember seeing that whatever that one was, or a couple of them in Black Temple a million years ago.
Yeah,
that's
and I'm like, Black Temple, yeah.
This is insane, and they keep using these models. I'm like, guys, you have the best artists in the world. You have got to come up with something better than this. I mean, this is just embarrassing now.
They're like, nope, we're going to use the Mortal Kombat character.
Oh, my God. It's so bad.
But then we get, after that, and it makes sense, you're getting Agrimar. That's the big-ass Titan.
Who's got an awesome sword, by the way.
Yeah, and I hope, it'd be nice. Oh, man. I'm asking for a lot. Because I haven't seen any of the loot. Maybe it's out there. Maybe it's been data mined.
I think it drops.
Does it? Good. Because I've been wanting a lot of the weapons that I saw during this expansion.
Oh,
just for transmog. One in particular was the green. I don't know the name of it. I'm just going to call it the Deathwing sword. I have all the different versions, and then I saw the green one from the Halls of Valor fight, the second to the end boss there. He comes running in. Skovald, is that God?
Oh, yeah.
King Skovald comes in with no, that's my blah, blah, blah. Well,
That was an excellent interpretation of that. Very believable. I'm sending that into Blizzard. Listen to this tryout. Sorry.
And then after that we get Argus, the Unmaker, who is it's a big RP fight. Last boss, 4 phases. Now, it looks like looks like a really nice fight. I mean, it's just you're going to be going through different phases of it. So you get to one point, it ports you to another one, and then it's kind of similar to like Garrosh, or I'm trying to think of another phased fight that we've had recently. The one back in Warlords, the end guy in Warlords. Jesus, it's Archimon, similar to that too. So.
Oh man, that Garrosh fight took forever.
Yeah, but that's the 11 bosses. Like I said, down and dirty, very bare bones, basic. That's that's what we're getting. Go look at YouTube, check them out. I
was gonna say, is there anybody in particular that you trust when it comes to raid prep for YouTube videos or guides or any of those kinds of things?
I do. I watch. Most people watch the Fat Boss videos just because.
Well, they're like the only ones left.
They are the only ones left because we don't have right now. The line of sight guys are taking a break, so I would watch them.
No more Tank Spot.
Oh man, yeah. Oh god, Tank Spot. That's right. Man, good old days.
Good old days.
Good old days. But yeah, so I mean, there's very, very basic. We'll get some more detailed videos once everything launches, but right now, just check out the Fat Boss videos, I guess.
I was going to say that, and I think that Wowhead generally does a pretty good deep dive. Because I know as a raid leader, when you're looking to get into the nitty gritty of every single boss ability and everything that they do, that's a great place to go to tease everything out. And I mean, they're kind of the main news resource when it comes to a lot of that stuff nowadays. There really aren't that many left. I feel like it's kind of like the airlines. There's only so many of these sources left because they all either quit or get bought out or go to work for Blizzard or whatever.
Yeah, there's also, there's a couple websites that we'll talk about it another time. There's definitely some websites out there that you can go check out too that go into really good detail on these things. But
all right,
we'll do a different show on where to go get your information from.
All right. Future show idea. We'll talk
future
about
future show idea. There we go.
So we have Antorus coming, and we talked about this a little bit last time. Now we're kind of playing the game of when is Battle for Azeroth actually going to hit? And I know we kind of took a look at where are we now? How long is this raid going to be out? Then we have the pre-expansion raid patch which will hit, and I saw that a couple of people had thrown out their guesses, and I did see someone. I backtracked a little bit and said not quite a year, so not quite November of next year. I saw Wowhead did actually throw out there, I think, November of next year, if not later. But one of the other clues that we have are the pre-expansion novels that come out. And we've had several of these now. They've pretty much done them, I think, with every one, starting with Wrath, maybe? I feel like there's been one ever since Wrath, because the Arthas one is still my all-time favorite, and I think I've read them all with the exception of one, which is about a bunch of trolls. But again, I'm very alliance-oriented, and I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but if you enjoyed that book, good for you. But Christy Golden, we talked about this. She has a new book coming, Before the Storm, which will serve as the pre-expansion novel this cycle around. Originally scheduled to come out middle of May. Now scheduled to come out middle of June. They've released the cover art, so it seems like they're really established. Okay, hard. This is the date. And now basing that information, or using that information to base our guess on, I think you're pretty close, man. I think October is looking pretty damn good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's either going to be, like I said, I'm going with 10/18/18. And the only reason I'm going with this, and I know games are typically released on Tuesday, making it 10/16. But this time, I really think that they're going to go with a Thursday release. Wrath was a Thursday. So was Warlords. Wrath and Warlords were both on a Thursday. And I have a feeling they're going to go with the Thursday because then people can take Friday off, and you can start early morning on Thursday and level up your character through the weekend. I don't know. That's what I'm going with. So 10/18, and I think that's going to be the week that we're going to get it. We may get it on the Tuesday, but I really feel like the Thursday is going to be it this year. Or next year. So,
well, I think you're right on the money, and especially with that date being moved, because I looked at when they announced that, I went and I was like, okay, well, when did the Illidan book come out versus the Legion book, the Legion expansion drop? And you had about 4 months there where Illidan, the book Illidan came out April 12th of 16. Legion launched 8/30 of 16. So you had, 4 months, couple weeks. And for you and your guest there, I mean, that 4 months, 4 months and a week or so, I mean, that gets you right in there. So
yeah,
that would be pretty nice because I like having a nice, some people like I guess a warm fire and a book to curl up to in the fall and wintertime.
Exactly.
I like a nice new.
Oh my God, yeah.
I like a nice new Warcraft expansion, and like a flannel on. That's how I like to spend my wintry days.
I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and say this will be the first time I'm going to buy the collector's edition for WoW. Is this Battle for Azeroth? I missed out on buying the box sets before, and the box sets come with so much cool stuff. I think this year I'm actually going to buy the collector's edition. I don't know how it works, but I think you can pre-order it, and and you'll get the box when it comes, but you could still play when it's released, even if you don't get the box when it comes or something like that, right?
Kind of. Here's for you and all of our faithful listeners, here is my experience with this, is that at least since they've stopped doing the store releases and now it's all digital or through websites, the last couple that I've done is that you'll pre-order the collector's edition, and they used to have a huge supply problem, but now they don't seem to have that issue anymore. So that they have plenty available. So you pre-order, and then if you go through Amazon, Best Buy, any one of these websites that does it, they'll ship it so you get it the day the expansion comes out. So you won't get it the night before or anything like that. You'll have to actually wait during the day. So maybe you got a super cool UPS guy that drops it off kind of early, but you'll have to wait until you get it. Now, they tried to, and I said this on a prior episode, they try to scam people. I love Blizzard, but this was not a good move, which was, they're like, well, buy the digital deluxe, and then when you get your collector's edition, we'll put that on your account, and then we'll just give you the code for the digital, which you can give to somebody else. I'm like, well, wait a minute. That means I had to buy the game twice. That doesn't mean I get like a discount or a refund. Right. You're just making me buy the game twice so I can get like an extra 12 hours on leveling my character. So, but yeah, to your point, now I have all the collector's editions with the exception of the very first, the original vanilla one. And for somebody like me, I love digging through the art books. I love the soundtracks. Yeah, the peripherals are kind of fun. You get a couple of cards and I have like my Legion mouse pad that I play on right now. Yeah. It's got the cool artwork. So that you do have some peripherals like that. But I'm telling you, the art books are the best thing because the stuff that you see in there, you don't see anywhere else. They don't sell it anywhere else.
Right.
It is, and it's stuff that, at least in my household, that's something for my son that my son and I can look through, and I'll show him all. He loves all this stuff, and for me, it's a bit absurd, I guess. It's not like this is, I don't have a Michelangelo painting, but I know we really enjoy that in our house. So yeah, I congratulate you. Nav, that's a wise move for your household. So, all right, a couple things left here. Real quick, there were some things that we did not cover from BlizzCon, so we're not gonna go too deep into this. But there are a couple of things from BlizzCon that are coming quicker for us than the actual expansion release, which are items that are coming in the 7.3.5 patch, and so they did announce those. One of them being world scaling for leveling. So going back through, I guess, 1 through 90. I see we have all starting zones are going to be 0 to 10. How is this going to work exactly?
So what they're going to do is basically they're going to scale. Everything's going to be level scale now. Like what we have in Legion, they're grandfathering that. They're putting that all back into the original, the classic BC Wrath, Kata, and Mob. So your starting zone, you would go so far, and then you'd run out, hit Goldshire because we're Alliance, and then or we're playing human, not just Alliance. You'd start out. I forgot. I know that there's dwarves and elves. I know that
there's other players now.
I'm human. I love my humans. So basically, the starting zone, you don't have to leave it if you've still got quests, because there are people who like to quest and like to finish their quests. And somebody I know personally, my wife was like that when she was playing WoW. She would have all these quests, and I'm like, okay, so you're now level 5. We got to go. She's like, but I got all these quests I have to finish. Now I can be like, let's go do all those quests because we're not wasting our time. You're getting experience. So
you can actually see the story.
You can actually go through and see the story. And what I really love is that Classic WoW is now going to be, all of the zones are 10 to 60. So it doesn't matter where you're questing. You will be able to see the entire story if you so choose. You don't have to immediately get 58 and run off to, Burning Crusade because you're going to get more XP doing quests there. It's not going to work that way. You can finish out. You can hit Winter Spring. That was my biggest accomplishment when I knew it was getting towards the end back in Classic was you got to Winter Spring. And Winter Spring to me was the zone. I loved getting to Winter Spring and going through and finishing up that zone. I would hit 60 and I would still go through and, see what else I could do. It is a beautiful place. It's like the North Pole. I love it. That's what but you go to, so now Burning Crusade and Wrath is 60 to 80, which is nice because while Burning Crusade had a lot of fun zones, Nagrand being one of them, absolutely gorgeous. That zone is my favorite by far in Burning Crusade. When you start getting into Wrath, that's where the art, that's where I felt like they said, you know what, artists, just show us what you got. And they did.
Oh, yeah.
And Wrath was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I still love that first step into like Borean Tundra or Howling Fjord.
Exactly. Yep. That is, and a lot of good memories from there. But yeah, they're making BC and Wrath 60 to 80. And then Kata had its, we went through Kata. Okay. So
it happened.
It happened. Kata was a thing that happened. And then Mop. So it's 80 to 90. There were Vashir's, sure. If you like, I like underwater zones. Vashir's one of them. I'll admit that I liked Vashir. I'm a scuba diver. I liked the underwater zone. That was one of the ones I liked. I enjoyed it. And then they had the Harrison Jones quests and all that, but it wasn't as memorable as it was for me as Wrath and say Mop were. So, so now they've made Kata and Mists 80 to 90, which is nice. And with that, we're also getting the Ulduar time walking. So, with the 7.3.5 as well. Is that correct? We're getting that Ulduar time walking with that?
Yes, we're getting Ulduar time walking, and we're also getting apparently a new battleground, so you can get your PvP on at a new battleground called Seething Shore. I don't know anything about it, but I'm gonna guess it's on a beach.
Yeah. I looked at it briefly. I mean, it looks pretty neat. I mean, it's just another battleground, which I haven't really been. I need to get into more battlegrounds, but world PvP. I like the world PvP stuff, but. Yeah, anything added to the game's fun for everybody. So they're giving us
play what you want to play.
Exactly.
They're also going to be making, and we're not going to go into this because we're going to try to save a little bit of the spoilers. But
yes.
They are going to be instituting some mysterious changes to Silithus, which
I hate that zone.
I
hate the bugs. I really do.
I don't want to go there unless I have to.
It's an acquired taste, I guess, but I fucking hate the bugs. I don't like the bug zone, but yes, there's changes in.
Oh, you go in there and there's like the swarm of something that you can't quite see that are buzzing around all the buildings and like the creepy music.
Oh,
yeah,
the
it's
Zerg
awful.
made it into Warcraft. Yep.
But apparently something is going to happen there. I think Antorus, or at least the ending of Antorus, is going to explain it to us. So keep an eye out. We'll see what happens down there in Silithus. One other thing that I wanted to talk about before we get to our last segment. UNAV, a couple of episodes ago, you touched on the biggest, I think, break in the history of any podcast, divining the big announcements to come when you had somehow figured out through the cosmic strings that are attached to your mind somehow that we are finally getting a bigger backpack in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And somehow you figured this out. And if I understand correctly, the only cost to this is better protection for yourself.
Yeah, and you have to use your authenticator. You know, whether you've got
which who doesn't use one at this point?
I made the mistake of taking my authenticator off my account for a couple of hours, and I remember a guildmate calling me and asking me if I was in game because some strange things were happening with my account. And I got home and my shit was hacked. So, I just removed the old key fob style authenticator from my account, and that happened. And I have not been without an authenticator since. I will say that, it's the authenticator is worth it, guys. You know, if you don't have it, get it. If not for anything else, get it for the bigger bag slot because they figured out how to fix it without breaking the core game. So, yeah.
Miracles never cease.
That's right.
All right. So lastly, this episode, I wanted to talk about a big 13-year anniversary we have coming up next week for our beloved World of Warcraft. 13 years. 13 is a lucky number for me. It's unlucky for some people, but here we are. All these years later, that we're celebrating. We'll be celebrating the anniversary in game with some old world bosses coming back. There's tons of loot. Apparently you can still get your Thunder Fury transmog.
Yes.
There's I think the old Nightmare Dragons and Kazakh, and it's a whole slew of all the old world bosses coming back to help you ring in another year of the game. Is there anything in particular that you're going to be going after out there in the old world bosses?
I'm basically going to be leveling maybe 2 or 3 of my tunes because you do get an XP boost during this time.
Ooh, how much?
I don't know. I really should have looked at that prior to us doing the podcast, but I know that
I might actually level an alt then.
Yeah, I know we get a boost, and I have a druid, I have a death knight, and I have a hunter that I need to level. That with the heirlooms will be, quite a substantial amount of XP, which is good. But no, there's really nothing off the old world bosses that I'm looking for other than the quest. I go out there and I do the quests. I did notice that when you go out there and try to take out Kazakh, when you show up at him, the ground is orange and it's bright. But if you queue up for him, the land becomes scorched. The pillars that are standing there, I don't know what the pillars are called. There's 3 pillars. They're all looking down at an altar. They're the iconic, weird looking pillars with the black, the faceless pillars. You've seen them before? They used to be on the I think they were on the cover of the old
You're talking about like the old login screen?
Yeah, the old login screen, yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, beside the point, I'm rambling. It's I just noticed some weird stuff that was happening with that. But it's it's neat to go back and queue up for this. You can queue up for the old stuff and go kill this stuff if you haven't done it. I've done it. There's not a lot of, I don't really have a lot of nostalgia for it, but it's nice for some people who have not been able to do it before. Definitely go do it. If you haven't done it before, go do it. It's just, a fun way to get back into the old world, the classic WoW and things like that. So
now here we are.
Yes.
Anniversary time, typically, even though you may not be nostalgic for that particular segment of the game, but and thinking back now is kind of a time to think back and reminisce about times gone by in the game. What, for the pleasure of our listening audience, what originally got you playing into the game, and what are some of your favorite memories along your many battles in Warcraft?
Oh man, how much time do we have left? Let me see here. So basically, what got me playing was, again, it was World of Warcraft's an MMO. It's about playing and being with friends, and it still is. I played Ultima Online back in 97, swapped over to EQ in 99 when 2004, came around while it was released. And I was already a fan of the Orcs versus Human, StarCraft. And I remember seeing a game trailer with the epic hook from A Call to Arms. That's from the vanilla or classic soundtrack from Jason Hayes, and it had the Night Elves, and I knew that I was like, wow, I have to play this game, and the game's still very epic to me, some of my favorite memories that I have with it are, I remember raiding on my rogue. I was a filthy rogue.
A rogue?
I was a rogue, yes. I remember.
You did not disclose this on your application, sir.
I remember because I played a warrior from Ultima Online to EverQuest. And then from WoW, I rolled a warrior again. I just was not having a lot of fun playing a warrior in World of Warcraft Classic. It just didn't click with me. And one of my good friends at the time was like, you should switch over to a rogue. They have a really good storyline. You feel like, you're Jason Bourne, and you can run around and kill stuff. I'm like, all right, so let me give this a shot. So yes, I was a filthy rogue when I began playing WoW, and it was fun. But I remember I loved raiding BWL. It was such a large raid. One of the memories I had was, I remember a friend of mine who had a lot better gear than I was, a lot better gear than I had at the time, rolling on a last piece of Bloodfang armor he needed to complete his set. And at the time, the transmog wasn't a thing, but he just wanted it. He would never use it. He just wanted he just wanted his 4-piece. And if I'm a little salty, I'm still a little bit salty on that one. So, but you know what? Some of my favorite memories continued on was, I got my wife to play for a short time. She made a Draenei Shaman, and that was back in Warlords, and that was a lot of fun for us to go through and do some quests and experience the game together. Wrath of the Lich King is still my favorite expansion. I love the colder environments. Another fun thing was we also got our Calico at the same year. So she would sit in front of the monitor and watch me play. And she still does that to this day. It's like clockwork. I'll start up WoW and Callie is like, okay, Dad, let's do this. Let's play. I love that.
This is the Calico cat?
It's my Calico cat. I
you got lucky because mine just poops on the floor all the time.
No,
that's all it does.
She's our baby girl and she likes to play WoW with me. So, so I have my main warrior, Fury Warrior craziness of Navox with this little mush ball who sits in front of me, so all the craziness and so I could just keep going on and on and on, because Wrath of the Lich King, that's still my favorite expansion. Like I said, Grizzly Hills, hearing that music for the first time.
Oh man. That zone music is legendary.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's that Mythic Siegecrafter, Black Fuse. It was Heroic Siegecrafter, Black Fuse before it was Mythic. And my raid group we just spent so many weeks on that thing, and we finally got it. And, I've been raiding with the same guy since 2013. It's nice to be raiding with the same people, These people are real life friends. You get to know them, and in some ways they're better than going out and hanging out at bars and stuff like that, because you're actually accomplishing
certainly
something.
A lot cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper, yes. But yeah, so I actually started as Alliance, swapped to Horde, then back to Alliance. Shout out to the old Keepers of the Oak Guild and EverQuest and WoW in 2004 to 2005. I was in the Invictus Mortem Guild and Skull Crusher Horde PvP. I raided with them from 2005 to January 2008. I've been Alliance since 2008. And like I said, some of the fondest memories I have are waking up on a cold morning, making coffee and leveling up tunes. That's what I really liked, And WoW also got me into podcasting. My first podcast was a WoW podcast, The Converted with Bell and Sal.
Oh yeah.
So
I know those two jokers.
How about you? What are some of your what got you to play WoW, and what are some of your fondest memories?
It's funny. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, in that it was, of all things, South Park that got me to actually try the game. I mean, they say South Park babies, it's a real thing, and I jumped on a server that was added because of Blade's Edge. Was one of the servers that was added at the time because they had this huge influx of people coming on, and it was right after Burning Crusade had launched. And I don't even know what it was, because I knew what Warcraft was. I knew what Orcs versus Humans was. I had, touched it briefly in years past, but I wasn't as rabid about it as I am now and have been for the last, 10, 11 years. But it was something about the game that just drew me in. I don't know if it was the aesthetic or just kind of the idea of what it was, or I just wanted to find out what in the hell this episode was about. I can't quite pinpoint it, but I knew at the time, because they were advertising heavily, was that you had a 10-day free trial. And I was like, oh, all right, 10 days. I just download it, see what happens. And I remember telling my wife at the time, because we both had watched the episode, and I said, don't worry, I won't become one of those guys that you saw on the episode of South Park. I'm just going to check it out. Don't worry about this. And of course, 10 days later, I fire up my subscription, and it's been active ever since.
Yep.
And that was, I don't know, February of 2007 or March of 2007.
Wow.
So, I've played ever since then. The highs and lows, had been let go of a job during that time, finally got into my actual career during that time, had a child during that time, and, always in the forefront or in the background, Warcraft's always kind of been around, and it's always been a refuge when I needed one.
Yep.
Or it's, given me kind of oddly, in some ways, some structure when I needed it a little bit. But honestly, my favorite memory of Warcraft of all time, amongst anything, wasn't even in game. It was when I got my very first collector's edition, and it was when Wrath of the Lich King came out, and me and a friend of mine, one of my dearest friends, we stood in line at a GameStop in my town for the midnight release. They don't do these anymore, and I understand why they don't do the midnight release at actual, stores anymore. But standing out there in a line with, I don't know how many hundreds of other people, just the excitement and that feeling of, it was the first time, because I'd never been to a BlizzCon, and it's kind of a solitary thing. So the first time you see all of these other people that are just all jacked up about the same thing that you are, you're like, wow, like, I thought it was just me. I didn't realize this many people played this thing or cared about this thing. And so to see that in person and to be out there, and I remember I held my collector's edition aloft like it was this, He-Man's sword. And I remember people like cheering and clapping, and I like ran out to my car. And I'm like, we gotta go. And, my buddy drives home and I drive home, and we fire everything up. We had to download everything at the time from the discs,
right?
So we didn't actually have, the online download. But then kind of what you described is, getting juiced up on energy drinks and playing till God knows what time in the morning, and then taking a couple of hours break and then logging back on and racing to get these things leveled up. It's, it's that experience and it's that kind of excitement that I love about this game. And particularly around BlizzCon time is when I think I feel it the most, is when you get that sense of, community and excitement, and you're all, just freaking crazed about this thing. And along the way, there's been other memories of, whether it was killing the Lich King in Heroic on 25 when that was a thing, with the guild that I had at the time, Omega. It was awesome because I loved the story. I loved the Arthas story. I loved all of that stuff, and to be able to finally see the conclusion to that, because I had no idea what that end cinematic looked like. So when King Tyrannus shows up and they put the helm on Bolvar and the whole thing, I just was beside myself. I had no idea what to think. So it's those kinds of moments that keep me coming. It's why I try not to know too much ahead of time. It's like I kind of know what's going to happen at the end of Antorus, but I really don't want to know. And it's those moments, and it's sharing those moments with my friend who is still in the guild with me on my raid team, and we still raid together, and we still keep in contact, and we talk to each other all the time, and a vast majority of it's through the game. And I know he listens to this podcast too, and so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And to be able to have those experiences still to this day as I'm, getting older, and, my career progresses and my child gets older, and the whole life moves on, but still moves on with Warcraft with it. And to be able to have that has always been very special. And so at times like these, anniversary times, different sorts, I always kind of think back on that, and I'm always really thankful for that. And, Yeah, and being Thanksgiving too, it's
Yeah.
again things to be thankful for is to have this time and space and really get to enjoy what we do here. And now you and I getting to talk about it and rage on and do our bit. It's fun to do that too. So, yeah, those are the things that keep me going. All right. With all that said, I think that'll do it for this episode, and I want to thank all of you, fine listeners, for joining us again for our special brand of absurdity. Other than this show, where can the good people find you on the internet, Nav?
Well, right now you guys can find me out on Twitter. It's Navox CTR.
As for me, you can always find me on Twitter at Berzerker Rage. Feel free to contact the show with any questions, comments, or otherwise you may have at unshackled@gmail.com. And you can find this show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. So until next time, keep your swords wet and your banners high and enjoy your pilgrim's bounty. Farewell, champions.